This is a guy you've been hyping up on our channel.
Let's go.
Since day one, it feels like. And I know he is one of your guys for this season. We're going to get into, fantasy MVPs, things like that as we get closer to these drafts. But I know Antonio Gibson's got to be in consideration for you, just hearing the hype train you've been dishing out. But Steph, tell me why you like Gibson for 2021 and why he is in this tier 3.
So I will get into all those reasons. But I first want to address the one elephant in the room with Antonio Gibson right now, and it's kind of similar to the Saquon Barkley situation. Supposedly Gibson, has an injury that could question his availability for Week 1.
It's the toe, right?
It's a turf toe injury. It's one of those soft tissue foot problems. It did take him out for a few games last year. But until we hear more, until we see that he's missing practice or having issues in the preseason, or the team comes out and says he's uncertain for Week 1, I'm locking him in as a starter from the very first snap of the season. And when I went and just read just a quick interview that Antonio Gibson had recently, he said he's, quote, been cutting and running full speed, making cuts I need to make. And then he said, I definitely got to watch and make sure I stay up on my treatment so nothing goes south. So I'm not going to try to overreact to a guy going through treatment in early June when he says he's already running and cutting in practice. But that was one report on Antonio Gibson that's come out this offseason. The other one is Ron Rivera coming out and saying that he expects, quote, a big jump from Antonio Gibson this season. And we saw what happened the last running back that he gave a big jump to in year 2, which was Christian McCaffrey. And Gibson, as a rookie, was 17th in fantasy points per game. So a mid to high end RB2 for your fantasy roster and redraft. He saw 120 carries, which is 12 per game. So he's getting worked into the offense as a rookie. I have to believe that alone is going to go up in year 2 from a running back who was running efficiently on a terrible offense at 4.7 yards per attempt. Showed us the only thing we needed to see from him coming into league, which is that he can be a true between the tackles runner. And we know he has that wide receiver background in college. And if we just look at the analytics, right, those data points that tell us that a running back is going to break out, Antonio Gibson should be a stud coming in as a prospect. He's 6 foot, 228 pounds, same as that Joe Mixon size you pointed out. Mm-hmm. That's the same size as Ezekiel Elliott. He runs a 4.39 40, which is just
that's fast,
absolutely insane at that size. So the measurables are there in spades. His efficiency in college was unmatched. He declared early for the NFL. He has the early third-round draft capital, and an 187-pound, 28-year-old JD McKissic is not going to be the reason that I fade Antonio Gibson. JD McKissic is not going to be 8th in the NFL in weighted opportunities like last year. It's just not going to happen. He got boosted by that Alex Smith situation. I don't think McKissic's ever going to see 15 targets in a game again, at least while Antonio Gibson is healthy and on the field. And even with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in to the Washington football team offense, that's actually worse for McKissic because this is a quarterback that can target his wide receivers down the field. So for me, JD McKissic is just Chris Thompson 2.0. I mean, imagine fading top 10 running backs and Leonard Fournette and James Robinson because of Chris Thompson being in the backfield in Jacksonville. McKissic isn't going to impact Gibson enough for me to fade him. And Gibson was already seeing 2.6 targets a game as a rookie. I think the ceiling is there for that pass volume to actually go up for him if he's on the field more. But if there is going to be a reason that you fade Antonio Gibson, do it because you don't think he can sustain the incredible touchdown volume he had last year. Gibson had 11 total touchdowns. That's a 5.3% touchdown rate on his carries. That's right behind J.K. Dobbins and Nick Chubb, who are both in some of the most efficient offenses in the NFL. These run-first teams, like Gibson was right there with those guys in terms of scoring touchdowns. But I actually see a hard time for this offense to slow down anytime soon because they're in the NFC East, which is going to be loaded with shootouts this year. They got that quarterback upgrade, and even if Taylor Heineke starts, that means at least he's playing better than Fitzpatrick, so that should be sustainable, at least for the weapons. They added Curtis Samuel, who will help this offense. We already know Terry McLaurin's a stud. Logan Thomas had a very nice season. I think this offense is going to chug along, and if I can capture Gibson's increased usage in year 2, continued efficiency in what should be a high-flying offense, an insanely high amount of upside, either through receiving work or touchdowns. I'm going to be thrilled about it with Gibson as my RB1 or amazing value at RB2 in drafts this year.
I love it. Yeah, you're definitely higher on Gibson than I am, but it's not to say I wouldn't love to have him as my RB2. You mentioned the Christian McCaffrey comparison. I want to quote Ron Rivera the night Antonio Gibson got drafted. Ron Rivera said he's a little bit bigger than Christian McCaffrey, but he's got a skill set like But he's got a skill set like Christian. So if anyone is going to utilize him in that role, it's going to be Ron Rivera, and the sky is really the limit for Gibson in 2021. I think the only thing, to your point, that could hold him back is the touchdown upside. But I honestly think, the touchdown rate could come down, but if the volume goes up, he could still hit that double-digit mark. So I love Gibson